Did you know that a plane or a spaceship is only on the correct path about 10% of the time? How does it get there? It has a highly refined navigational system, this sophisticated gyroscope inside that nudges it back on track anytime it gets a little bit off course. Isn't our life the same way? When we are heading towards a distant goal to create something that we've envisioned for ourselves, we'll probably be right on target about 10% of the time. The trouble comes in when we start wandering off the path, and instead of nudging ourselves back onto it, we go a little bit too far off course. That's what our own inner GPS is all for. Guiding purpose system. And in this video, we'll explore concepts that help to deepen your understanding of this guiding purpose system for you to stay on track with the progress and momentum you're building towards fulfilling your unique vision of greatness for your life. If you like this kind of content, hit that like button and let's keep rolling. There are 3 big concepts here that will help you understand this GPS more deeply to stay on track towards your goals. If you master these, you will master that guiding purpose system within you. The first is living in deep alignment with your own values. These values are abstract principles. These are values like love, harmony, family, wellness, community, career, and so on. Identifying those top 5 values is a valuable exercise to help you build awareness of what those are for you, and becoming deeply familiar with what those are, not just as abstract principles, but how they look embodied in day-to-day life, can help you gain a higher resolution image of those values. So when you start getting a little bit off track, you become more sensitive to that feeling of being out of alignment. And as you build the sensitivity to this feeling of being out of alignment, it'll be much easier to nudge yourself back on course before you get too far off track. For instance, if health, vitality, wellness are one of your deeply held values, and your diet or your sleep starts slipping off course, you'll feel it. But that signal can be easy to miss or to ignore. This deep awareness of what our values are and how they look at the practical everyday level refines that signal. So when it comes in, we can steer ourselves back on track before it gets too far off. And this is the second big concept. Kill the dragon while it's small. You've likely seen in your own life how we start doing something we're excited about. It brings us fulfillment and like we're seeing that progress happen day by day. And then we feel a little bit off and we stop doing those things that were good for us. And it's a slippery slope in every direction. We start trailing and then look at our lives, how we feel, and say, oh my gosh, I don't like this. And where did it start? And that challenge, that frustration, that feeling stuck led us to stop doing those things that took effort, but then became this vicious cycle where the less we did those things we enjoyed that were good for us, the more we didn't feel like doing them. And it built up into this whole thing that it didn't need to be. When we're making progress towards those goals, they require effort. We've got to invest out of those things that are worthwhile in our lives, require effort, discipline, and investing that grit into pushing past those times we don't feel like doing it. And often, once we get started, we're so glad that we did, but it's just as easy to say, not today. And then all those good feelings from that positive effort lead to a whole different kind of problem. And after a while, that feeling of overwhelm, frustration, disappointment, fear, doubt, the reminders of pain and shame become this big monster that's so hard to take down. Instead, when we notice ourselves getting a little bit off course, we can identify it and allow those thrusters at the core of who we are to push us back on course when it's just a little nudge instead of this big whole thing to get back in purpose. Living in purpose, on purpose, calls on the deeper parts of who we are to live from the core of our being, even when we don't feel like it. And those are really the most important times to summon that courage, to invest the discipline that we need to create those positive outcomes in our life, tolerating the frustration, delaying the gratification, doing what's hard now for what's greater later. And we won't always feel like it. It's also important to be mindful and intentional with the rest and relaxation, the play and the creativity that allows us to sustain motivation and not burn out. But there's also times where we'll confuse these in our mind and decide to give up. And that's okay. But if we let it go too far, we find ourselves in a place where it's seemingly impossible to get back on track, on purpose. When we increase the clarity of the signal from that GPS, it makes it much easier to handle this difficulty when it's still small, instead of letting it grow into that terrifying monster. The little nudges are easy. The big ones are a lot harder. So do yourself a favor by noticing the little feelings of being out of alignment and giving yourself that nudge to get back on purpose. This guiding purpose system is a deeply powerful concept. More than that, it's a living reality inside of us, part of the genius of our inner nature. But there's parts of everyday life that dampen the signal to this GPS. And it's way harder to bring the best out of us when we feel far less than our best. So the third concept is to calibrate our GPS, to install those daily rhythms that help us stay in tune, the maintenance of this inner gyroscope so it stays balanced and can lead us in the right direction. There's hundreds of strategies we can use to bring this balance into our life, but really they act on a handful of deep principles of nature that we can start using today. Here are some ways we can tap into that power to increase our clarity, vitality, connection, and sense of purpose. Get moving. Even if it's just a little stretch or a walk around the block, make regular, intentional movement a part of your daily life. Level up your nutrition. Make sure to fuel your body with the building blocks it needs to feel good. Not this processed food-like substances that's so delicious, but doesn't give our bodies the nutrients it needs to operate at the level it was designed for. Start small by adding in a few more fruits and vegetables to your diet every day. Once you feel good with that, build from there. Invest in meaningful connection with the people you care about most, and work on spending more time with others who inspire you, who speak into your life, and less with those who bring with them an energy that's not aligned with your own values. The theory of social contagion shows us that a lot of the lifestyle practices, the mindsets that others carry, that we spend time with, pass on to us. And we even pass them on to others and the person after them. So that just like we wouldn't spend time with a bunch of people who have the cold or the flu, when somebody has an attitude or certain lifestyle practices that don't align with where we're going, we might minimize and manage the amount of time that we spend with them, and instead bring people in, cultivate those relationships with people whose mindset and lifestyle line up with what you want for yourself. Get lots of sunlight. There's a specific type of vitamin D that we can only get from the sun, and it's an essential part of our body's ability to manufacture the dopamine that we need to stay motivated, even when it's hard. Starting your day off with 10 or 20 minutes of sunlight can make an enormous difference in the quality of our sleep at night. It makes it easier to fall asleep and easier to wake up by using nature's built-in way to calibrate our circadian rhythms. And when sleep suffers, everything suffers. So this morning sunlight, in a few minutes at lunch or in the evening, by investing in sunlight exposure early in the day, with a few minutes around lunch and in the evening, we massively improve the quality of our sleep by calibrating our circadian rhythms with nature's built-in way to do. And when we invest in our sleep, we're investing in every part of our life: our relationships, our clarity, our mood, our creativity, our biological health. And early sunlight exposure is one of the highest ROI. Investing in early sunlight is one of the highest return on investments for lifestyle practices to calibrate our guiding purpose system to keep us on track and fulfilling our unique vision for our lives. Another great way is to focus on our purpose, to fill our minds with the ideas, the visions, the feelings of what it is we want for ourselves. Instead of focusing on the problems, the challenges, the fear, the doubt, the pain, replace those thoughts with our goals, our gifts, the blessings, and the solutions that we can bring to the challenges of our world, the challenges of our lives, to overcome them and create something beautiful as we stay aligned with our values and keeping ourselves on track, not if, but when we go off course, so we can maintain that progress and build momentum to fulfill our unique vision of greatness for the abundant life. If you enjoyed this content, click the link below for free access to our learning and support community, LifeFlow Academy, for more evidence-based practices built on ancient wisdom to help you accelerate your path toward healing and the abundant life in sobriety. We'll see you there.